Shout out to the Cassandras, who refused to pander and told the candid answers the best that they can about Pandora's cancers. The pessimists, giving their testaments, the best of it and the rest of it. Leftists sit solo because the less of it the average git has to hear, the better. Shout out to the soothsayers. Late nights, sleep like pulling tooths, prayers that the proof layers itself with each news day or the truth tellers. The courageous news yeller is more often a bruise getter than mood setter, wondering what's better, the loneliness or the phoniness. Shout out to you. If you're not just sitting with a stiff grin trying to fit in while the earth caves in, or burns, or drowns. Cities and towns waiting around for the sound of a copter sweeping down. You're finally found, we wish they'd say, as if help was on the way. But like the song by R.A. we play, they never came. And they will not. The Cassandras were not wrong. And it's been so long that some passed on, dead, gone, but their words live on. In every western red dawn, in every displaced fawn now on a Midwest lawn, every eastern den sogged by the long con, the box is open and it's not closing. The toxic smoke and the barren rocks poking where there once was hope in a world unchanged. It will never be the same. But at least now you know whose name never played the game. That's a piece I wrote a while back called Shout Out to the Cassandras, and every day for me is a shout out to the Cassandras, the people who have been trying desperately to tell people what is coming, what's happening, and are not believed. They're just not believed, even though the evidence is right there. It's right there, right? And the time comes when eventually people catch up and are like, oh, here we are, but it's too late. And you get to watch this play out in slow motion. Bad Bunny performed at the Super Bowl. And as always, there is the back and forth about like, oh, well, it was great. I was so moved by it. And yeah, of course you were moved by it. That's the fucking point. That's how they get you. It doesn't strike y'all as weird that they get a Puerto Rican person, right? A Latinx person to be the headliner of the Circus Maximus, the Empire's greatest, largest event, where they get the most people to watch at once. Doesn't it strike you as weird that they're getting a Latinx person to be the headliner of that at a time when Latinx people all across the country are being yoinked out of their homes? That doesn't strike you as weird. You don't see the disconnect. And people are like, no. What's happening is that he's getting to speak out about it. Yeah, he gets to speak out about it. Where? And who gets the money? There's a USA Today article that I've shared around on the internet. Look, any of my social media, you'll probably find it. And it shows that, and I don't remember exactly, so don't exactly quote me, but it's basically this. That if NFL owners gave $24 million, let's say, last year, 22 of that went to Republican causes. And I know, we all know here, I don't got to tell you, right, that, which side you support in terms of like the two parties says that much about your feelings about empire, but it's important. It's important because to support the current Republican Party as it stands says something. Right? Two things can be true at once. Yes, the Democrats are fucked up and complicit, 1,000%. Yes, they are part of the empire. However, right? The Democrats are the ones sitting on the fire extinguishers. The Republicans are the ones with the flamethrowers. And there is a difference, right? Yes, they're both bad. Yes, they are both the problem. Unequivocally. Obviously. But the ones with the flamethrowers, you don't give them more gasoline. You don't hand them napalm. And what does the NFL do? It takes the little dissent that is, and don't get me wrong, look, I'm literally an artist, okay? I am not saying that, art is not dramatically important, especially not when you have that big a platform, right? To get to say certain things is extremely meaningful. However, what would have been more meaningful? For him not to show up. Think about it, right? At a time when you are disappearing people like me, I'm going to fucking disappear. Or right? Think about all the artists who make similar strong statements just from outside the imperial spectacle. Yes, they don't get as many eyes on them, but at least you know whose name never played the game, right? Winning a Grammy means that you're great. You have attained the heights of what this empire offers in terms of the way that it has captured art. Does that inherently make you a better artist? No, it just means you had access to so much money, right? And so much advertising, and the best makeup artists, and the best personal trainers, and the best of all these things, right? And again, not even the best, just the ones who knew how to play the game enough to get in there. And the ones who were quiet about enough of the things to get in there. Guess who else was on the stage with Bad Bunny? Lady Gaga. Yes, I mispronounced her name, and yes, I did it on purpose, because I used to love her too, but she's a Zionist. She also came out and said with her whole mouth face, I performed a bunch of shows while I had COVID. Like, on some haha, I'm so tough. Ha ha ha, that's not fucking cute. And neither is being a loud and proud Zionist. So, while Bad Bunny was bringing the light, shining a light on his own culture, and it is very important to do so, absolutely. But while he was doing that, he was simultaneously obscuring the light of an entire other culture that is actively experiencing a further stage of the same genocide that white supremacy is trying to do to everybody who is to the left of Mitt Romney. Okay. So be careful. Be careful what you spend your energy and your time trying to rationalize, and understand that, and look, I get it. A little personal story. I have never been into sports. I will play any sport. I've played just about every sport. I was very athletic. I was a dancer. I did martial arts for many years. I loved doing tournaments. I love to throw a turning kick or a side kick or a back kick. I love it. Okay, so it's not that I'm not into athletics or understand athletics, but I never got watching other people play them and literally getting into fights because of the outcomes of these sporting events that you have nothing to do with. And I realized that it is because of just social pressure. It's social pressure. It's become a cultural touchstone that a lot of us have attachments to because of something that happened to us in our life, Oh, it's attached to a good memory of this family member or that, or it reminds me of this person who's gone or whatever. That's about you. That is about you. And you have to realize that you are selling out your actual morals because all of the money that goes into these stadiums, that goes into all this stuff, all that money is being used to fund your or someone else's oppression. Not a single dollar of it helps the people at all. And there's plenty of art. There are local athletes. There are local stadium teams. There are plenty of things you could support instead. And that is the thing that in the piece by Worm, just before this, it's about imagining what it could be, what could be better. And yes, you might not be attached to some, nationwide network of teams playing in these giant stadiums, but you would actually be attached to local athletes if you actually supported local athletes. Because I'm not saying that athletics don't have their place in the human story. They obviously do. And art too. But it doesn't belong to the Grammys. It doesn't belong to the NFL or the MLB or the NHL. Those are ways they capture our attention and direct us into what is okay to say, what is okay to watch, and what is okay to do. And I simply am begging y'all to see it and stop supporting it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. You know what? The last thing I'm going to say on this is, I've been called a woke scold several times. I never get blocked so much as when I ask people to question their relationship with mainstream sports, with Grammys, with Tonys. People, they get mad on this deep, visceral level, and it means you've actually touched a nerve. You've really hit something. And that's when the cognitive dissonance kicks in, and then there's a lashing out I've got to get rid of this person because they're telling me something I don't want to hear that I know to be true deep down. It's a great saying. It's not the things that we believe that we fight hardest about. It's the things that we don't actually believe deep down. Think about the things that when you get into a fight with someone, right? Like a physical fight or just when it's completely unproductive. It's because there is some doubt. It's because there's something that is nagging at you. Something that you really believe through and through. You will fight for it in the way that you live, in the things that you do. But like, unless we're talking about standing toe to toe with the frozen water boys and the way that we need to fight them, you won't just get into like a fight about it. Like it won't be unproductive because there's something backing it. You have your, you put your whole pussy into some stuff and you won't get into an idle fight about something. Right? Sports. If you think about the number of riots, right? White riots in this country have come from people of color getting some kind of rights or privileges and the outcome of sporting events. Win or lose. Win or lose. Win or lose. Think about it. But think about it later because we've got a nice show coming up for you today. It's a lovely, lovely show, and I certainly believe you're going to enjoy it. We're going to bring you the usual surprises, and of course, we have got next the Astrological Weather Report with our very own Alice Pope of Alice Pope Astrology. MYSTRYXX, take us there.